All right, I'm Nick. Now, you read the title to this video. I'm gonna tear apart an Old Town PDL drive. If you have a warranty, you should not do this. Old Town's PDL drive is advertised as maintenance free. You have an owner's manual. If your drive is in this condition and you have a warranty, I would tell Old Town you want a new drive, because technically they should give you a new drive. Just the reality of a maintenance-free warranty that they offer for 5 years. They have pretty good customer service. They do a great job the majority of time. I do receive a lot of emails from people who, they reach out and say, hey, Old Town doesn't want to warranty this, and I tell them to keep messaging them. That's pretty much the reality of it. It's maintenance-free drive. You should not have these issues. Now, this drive system, you guys are going to see that the lower unit was oxidized, surface corrosion realistically into the main part of the drive system, and it wouldn't come apart. So we use a screwdriver, a hammer, beat it to death and pry it on it. Comes apart, and then you can see the step by step for the most part. I didn't go into great details. Once you pull it apart, you should clean everything that you could possibly clean, and you should add marine grease and put it back together carefully. This is just a rough overhaul, a rough overview of me tearing it apart. It is messy, it's dirty. So once again, I do not recommend doing this if you have a warranty. If you do not have a warranty, this will fix some of your problems. It'll get it apart, and it will let you re-lube, tighten your pinion gear. The most common issue if you're going to do this is because your PDL drive is knocking, because your pinion gear is loose and moving back and forth, okay? So I'll stop rambling. Here's the video. It's not a good process. I have done it this way 3 or 4 times. It does fix the problem, and it does reseal the drive. Still not recommended if you have a warranty, okay? If you have a warranty and your drive is seized up like this, in my opinion, just my opinion, remember, I don't have any affiliation with Old Town, you should be getting a new drive system. So here it is. To access this area, you remove this screw from the back here. You pull the plastic skeg off. Don't lose a washer. That's going to reveal this seam right here. You can see where all this oxidation has come in, and you can see how easy all this powder coat or paint or whatever that is comes off of there. Super cheap metal. You should probably use something better, but they don't. Now, if you have a warranty, remember, don't do this. We're gonna put this screwdriver on this seam. We're gonna hammer that in there and pop that out. We've already tried pulling that out with the mallet, putting screws in there, pulling on it, but it's fused together around this rim and in there. Oxidation, surface corrosion, it's never coming off. Hold that so I don't move. Now when we do this, we're gonna break a seal. Just thinking about it, you wanna go gentle, you wanna go slow. We're getting in there. Almost. You can use a smaller screwdriver if you want, but we're gonna patch it all up when we're done anyways. It does not like us. It's being stubborn. Just being stubborn. All right, we're in. We're gonna spray some penetrating oil on here, and we're gonna give it some more love taps. All right, so we ended up going back to the little one just to make a smaller hole. Then we lined this screwdriver back up, hammered it in, went in way easier than the first time. You're gonna need the big screwdriver to pry it apart though. You need more force. You would just break this one, so I tried to just skip it and go to that one. You should probably start with this. Come in here, you can already see how there's a crack right here. That means we made it in. It's starting to come up. Now we're just gonna, nice and easy, wiggle it. There it goes. Okay, I felt it. You can probably hear it. And that's how you get it apart. Now remember, when we put that in there, we came right through this metal piece right here. We more than likely damaged this gasket, which we only actually flat spotted. In the past, I have torn that thing in half. We're gonna use some RTV, we have some other stuff. We're gonna clean all this up. We'll document all of it. We'll show you how we put it back together, clean all this stuff up. You guys will see the whole process, but you can see water got behind that paint and it causes all the problems. All right, so this thing has a bunch of stuff in there. We're just gonna flip it over and see what comes out. Well, most of that water was probably water. You can taste it and find out. I'm just kidding, don't do that. Probably can't see in there too well. We're gonna pull it apart a little bit more, clean it all up, see if we can get it back to normal. All right, we're gonna start with this here lower unit. Everything spins fine. We just put a bunch of PB Blaster on there. Might wanna put gloves on, who knows. Probably there's a bunch of corrosion on here. We're gonna let it soak for a minute, clean it all up. And then we're gonna clean all of this paint, powder coat, whatever that is, off of the outside of this and use some sandpaper to make it smooth. And then we'll show you guys how to put it back together. We're gonna clean the inside too, show you that. Put it back together and go from there. But it spins good. That means the bearing's good, so that's important. All right, clean it up time. Okay, so while we're in here, we're gonna pull the pinion gear off, 3mm hex head. I'll take that out of there. It was a little bit loose, but there's no reason not to clean it up. You see how dirty it is as well. All the thread lock's missing. We will clean it up, put some thread lock on there. Thread lock, put it back together, and then we shouldn't have any knocking noises either. All right, so at the time, we took some sandpaper, use whatever grit you want, but don't go too hardcore. You don't want to take too much material off here or there'll be a giant gap, right? Just trying to clean that surface corrosion up. Put some thread lock on here. Just gonna slide that back in there and reinstall that. Don't need to hulk out, strip anything out. Oops. Just get it started right. I'm gonna use this punch, which you can see is already bent. That way I can tighten this down. Don't gotta go crazy. Thread lock will do all the work for you. I can't get it in there. Boom. All right, I bent my pin some more. It'll be all right. All right, we're gonna call that good for now. We're gonna set this to the side and we're gonna try to start cleaning up the inside of the drive. Okay, so we took sandpaper and a bunch of PB Blaster. Remember, this is kind of a messy job. There's all kinds of nasty stuff inside of there. Cleaned all this outside edge up. Remember, we already cleaned up this edge. Got as much stuff out of there as we could. We put marine grease back in there, all over all that stuff. And now we're gonna take it and we're gonna put it around here. We're gonna put a bunch of it, okay? One thing to make sure of, after you hammer this through here, there's a groove you can see right there. Go back through it, make sure that's flat. Whether you use a file lightly or sandpaper, nothing can stick up. Or when you reassemble it, it won't slide back together properly. Remember, we're gonna use a lot of this stuff because this is gonna be part of our water barrier, okay? And we're gonna do the same thing with this. An idea that this system doesn't come with some kind of, I don't know, metal on metal with paint, powder coating, whatever that is just, it's not a reliable method, okay? And then we're just gonna nice and easily line everything back up and just slide it back in place. Just kidding, we didn't put the gasket back in place. Make sure everything's good. Inspect everything. This is the gasket. Now, we were fortunate enough, this gasket did not tear, okay, which is not normally the case. Put some grease on here real quick. I could feel some sand on there. We're just gonna take and clean that off. Real nice and easy. I can feel that little nick in there. Now, we put it back together. Remember, this came out of there like this. We're gonna put this over here away from where we did the damage at, okay? So, once you get this all figured out, this thing is gonna slide back in place just like this, okay? You're gonna take this, we're gonna coat it up. Put this back in there. Make sure the damaged seal is not where you did the damage, okay? Line everything back up. Ooh, it's very slippery now. We put grease all over it. And of course, this hole has to be center, okay? So there's no, wrong screwdriver. Pop that back out of there for a second. Get it turned. It's so slippery from all the grease. And then slowly slide it back in place like so. Now you're all sealed back up. This is out of here. There's a ton of grease in there that will stop that water from getting in there. That's the goal. Now it'll take a few seconds, we'll clean it up and I'll show you the next part. Okay, we're gonna reinstall these screws real quick. Make sure everything's lined up, make sure nothing gets cross-threaded. Don't use power tools, these screws suck. Some people have problems just getting the screws out so you can start this process. Remember, make sure it's not cross-threaded, okay? If it doesn't go smooth, take it apart, find out why. Especially this screw, after all, this is a spot where you just put a screwdriver through. Probably get a bigger Allen wrench for the job. Might make life a little easier for you. Okay, those are in and tight. Remember, don't go crazy. Just get them in place. Once that is done, we're gonna take some alcohol. We're gonna clean this area up real good. We need it to be as dry as possible because then we're gonna take this marine JB weld, cures in an hour. We're gonna patch that hole up, sand it down, so there's no way water can get through. We just did the damage. Okay, I told you before this job's kind of messy, so maybe you should wear gloves. This is that JB weld stuff. It's already pre-mixed, it's together. It's gonna pinch out a little bit of this stuff. It's super sticky, okay? Then we're just gonna get it really good and mixed up. Obviously, it's gonna become tacky because That's how it bonds. But it'll start to change color. It'll all turn gray. And then we're just gonna take this stuff and we're just gonna come down to that crack. You don't need all of that. You know, you're just gonna keep pushing it into that crack. Make sure you get it cleaned up real good with alcohol or acetone or whatever. Probably directions on the back of that packet that you should read. I've probably done it this way, I don't know, probably this is third or fourth time with no issues, okay? And remember, the goal is just to fill that crack in, keep pushing it in there like putty. Now it's gonna take, I think it says an hour to fully cure, some other time limits on there. Once this part is done, we're just gonna use some sandpaper to sand it smooth just so it looks pretty. You probably don't have to. I'm pretty sure the first time I ever did this, I just slapped it back on there, slapped the skeg back on there and went fishing. And I was probably fishing within like 3 hours with it and no issues. It'll seal it up. Removing it will be easier in the future. Just be careful. You should probably rinse it off from now on. The corrosion is a bad thing, but it's supposed to be a maintenance-free drive. So if you bought it new and you have a warranty, Old Town should fix it. Okay, so just to talk about this a little bit more, we didn't even sand it. It's been like 30 seconds since we started recording. We're just gonna slide this back on. When you put that back on, these screws are gonna go into place. This flat part is gonna push flat on that seam, and then it's gonna help you keep it and hold it in place anyways. So don't sweat it being too pretty. I'll tell you this, the first time I did it, the hole was much worse than that hole. I got lucky that time. I bet you the first 3 times I did it, it was far worse than that. Just go slow, take your time. You won't have any issues. I'm tightening them down. If you got any questions? Now, if you watched that process, like I said before, that was just a rough overview. You could take the time, clean everything up better, put it back together, take extra steps. Just don't be too aggressive. Don't use any kind of power tools. Just sandpaper will do fine. Use that marine grease, the JB weld, the thread lock. Put it back together. You'll be good to go, okay? It will help you out. But this, remember, this is a last step kind of thing, okay? Last step, you bought a drive, you used the drive for a few years after warranty, or you used it for a few years after you bought it from someone, you ran into this issue. I don't think you can actually stop this issue by rinsing it off. You know, someone will say, well, you should have rinsed your drive better. I've owned a lot of PDL drives, more than most individuals ever will in their lifetime, more than likely. We've used them, we've abused them, we've taken care of them, but we used them, okay? The metal on metal system, and whether that's powder coated or painted or whatever kind of, however that black stuff is applied to the metal, it does get water under it very easily. I don't think rinsing it would make much of a difference, okay? Once water gets between that seam or behind that paint and starts to go through the seam, it oxidizes, it corrodes, then it won't come apart. So that is that. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer. You can leave a comment below or send me an email at nick@navarrekayakfishing.com. If I don't get back to your email immediately, if I miss it, overlook it, just send the email again. It's a little busy around here, and sometimes I can't keep up with all the emails. Thanks for watching.